Hey, it's Drybear. With the announcement of Season 2, it's just a few days away. I wanted to go through some of the official developer responses that we've gotten, clarifying the patch notes and the campfire chats and all the things they're changing in Season 2. Some burning questions that I had that really needed more clarification from them. Of course, if you have more questions or comments for me, you can pop by my live stream on twitch.tv/Drybear. I'd be happy to chat with you. So let's dive right in. Some responses from the official dev team on questions. The first one is around Steam. Steam is now going to be supporting Diablo 4 with launch of Season 2. You can download Diablo 4 on Steam and it will be available to be played there. And there's some questions around, will there be progress? Do I have to buy again? Will it sync with other things? Will I still get drops? That sort of stuff. So the first question here is, will the progress transfer from D4 on Steam and D4 on Battle.net? So if I'm playing on Battle.net and I launch it on Steam, will I have the progress? And Adam Fletcher confirms the game is cross progression across all platforms. So once you play Diablo 4 on any platform, that progress will transfer over to Battle.net, Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, wherever. It'll all transfer over. They also mentioned that the eye level cap, the item power cap, is going up to 925 in Season 2, and there was some confusion around this being 920, 900, or 925, and it has been clarified that it's actually 925 specifically for the ancestral items. They'll now go up even higher, which will scale a lot of the stats that go into those items. 1.2.0 is on Tuesday the 17th and we'll start Season 2 right off the bat. But there's another question that came up, which is the patch that follows that towards the end of October, 1.2.1, will have a training dummy in it that you can jump into. It's kind of like Lost Ark's Tristram training dummy, and the Paragon board reset button, but they didn't clarify exactly how this is going to work. So the question is it a full Paragon system reset? Like I hit one button and it resets all of my Paragon boards? And Pipiora says, yes, it's a full reset, but you can't do board by board just yet, but they're considering it. Another confirmation, this patch is aimed at the end of October. BlizzCon is the first week of November. And so the question is it coming out before BlizzCon? And it will. It's coming out just at the very end of October, probably around Halloween time or just before. And they will have other updates to talk about revolving Diablo 4 at BlizzCon itself. Another great question is, will they do the stagger that they did with Season 1? If you weren't here for Season 1, Season of Malignant for Diablo 4, they launched the patch on a Tuesday, and then Season 1 officially started on a Thursday. So you got all the content for the Eternal Realm, but you had to wait 2 days before you could make your seasonal character. And Pipiora has confirmed that this is going to be going live with the patch on October 17th. So once the patch goes live and you can play and log in, you'll be able to make your seasonal character on the 17th. Another great question around the raising of the eye level cap, since there are breakpoints in the game right now. There's eye level breakpoints where when you go over them, the overall stat distribution goes up. And confirming that is, will there be another breakpoint that comes with the increase to 925? And Pipiora says, no, the affix changes aren't being adjusted with this change. This is just going to scale up the other values on it, but not the affixes themselves, except for things like health and stuff like that. The flat values that do tend to scale with eye level, you will be getting those going up, but it just raises the overall caps. You might get flat damage numbers on weapons. You might get flat HP or maybe flat armor, but you're not going to get like higher crit damage percent because the eye level is higher. Another awesome question, with the new Season 2, there are 5 endgame bosses aside from Uber Lilith that you'll be able to summon with materials that you collect by doing overworld activities. Nightmare dungeons, Helltide, Legion events, world bosses, whisper caches, all of those drop materials that you'll farm, and there are tradable materials. And then when you get enough of them, you can summon a boss, which has a fixed loot table that you can farm for specific uniques and for specific gear. And the question here is a great one, is if you're in a party, say you're a party of 4 people, when you're using these materials to summon the end game boss like Uber Duriel or Zir or whatever it is, how will it work in a party? Does everyone need to have the materials on them in order to summon the boss? And confirmed, only one person needs the summoning materials to summon the boss. Whoever does the summoning process, it will summon the boss for everyone in the group, which means that solo players, you'll have to just kind of farm it yourself, but there might be some more co-op opportunities to group together and save your materials, kind of like doing rifts in Black Desert, where you just want to get together and slam them all out together in a group, or maybe trade with people to get the resources you want. Maybe you need to farm Duriel, someone else needs to farm Varshan and you trade materials between each other and farm those there. But it seems like in a party is going to be the most efficient way to farm endgame bosses. Joe Shelley, the game director for Diablo 4, says we aren't kidding about the drop rate of Uber Uniques from Duriel in Season 2. There'll still be rare drops, but folks who get the fight on farm are going to see them, which means that it's going to be a not 0.0000001% where one girl in Korea got the drop and posted it on Reddit. It's going to be something that does drop from these bosses. So if you're farming, their marketing phrase was you're going to know someone that has an Uber Unique. So it's going to be a lot more often. It's just you're going to have to be farming these Uber Uniques. And obviously, if you're farming them in groups, it's probably going to be even more efficient. But if you're looking for the Uber Uniques, it looks like killing Uber Duriel on the regular is going to get those for most people. Another great clarification from Adam Fletcher. We've been hearing some questions around the Steam Deck verification. So if you don't know, Steam Deck is the handheld for Steam where you can play games in your bathtub or in your bed or on the toilet or whatever else. And they can say that Diablo 4 will be Steam Deck verified starting with the launch of Season 2 with the Season of Blood, which means that if you play Diablo 4 on Steam, you can play it on your Steam Deck, you can play the Season of Blood on Steam Deck, and you're good to go. This is another huge one from Adam Fletcher, one that we actually don't get too often. They almost never clarify this, and it drives me nuts. But the progression for Renown when it comes to softcore and hardcore has always been separate. They just haven't really done a good job about clarifying that for us. And this time they actually did. So the question is, if I say I played softcore all throughout my Diablo 4 history, I never touched hardcore. When I make a hardcore character, where is the renown going to come from? And they've clarified that the hardcore characters and the softcore characters are still going to be treated separately. So going into Season of Blood, if you had completed all of your renown on a hardcore character and that hardcore character has not, or even if it's just still alive, if it died in Season 0, it's not going to matter. But if you have a season of malignant hardcore character that has all the renown done, your hardcore characters in Season of Blood will also have it, and the softcore is treated separately from that. So it will be separate. You will have to do renown again on hardcore if you haven't been playing, and vice versa for softcore, but I'm glad at least they clarified it for us. Shout out to Eric on x.com for asking this question, because I had the exact same question. If you go to the 1.2.0 patch notes, it says that World Tier 3, only legendary, unique, uber unique, and sacred rare items will drop. And the same thing goes for World Tier 4. Only legendary, unique, uber unique, and ancestral rare items will drop. And so at first, this kind of sounds like, okay, great. When you're in World Tier 4, only ancestral drops. And when you're World Tier 3, only sacred drops, right? You don't have to worry about normal items in World Tier 3 or sacred and normal items in World Tier 4. And the way this is worded is very deceiving and almost sounds like it's only the rare items that have this limitation, but you can still get normal and sacred legendaries and uniques when you're in World Tier 4, World Tier 3. And so that was the great question is, can you expand on this? Is it just the rares or the legendaries and the uniques as well? And Adam says they do drop. So unfortunately, you still will get sacred legendaries in World Tier 4. You'll still get like normal legendaries, things like that. They just restricted it, which is still an improvement. It's still kind of lame, but it's still an improvement. You will still get normal and sacred legendary uniques and uber uniques from World Tier 3 and up. So you'll still have those there, unfortunately. But the yellow items, the base items you would use for crafting, they're only going to drop at the highest value they can based on the actual world tier. So if you're in World Tier 4, every yellow item that drops will be ancestral. And if it's below ancestral, it'll just drop crafting materials because you were going to scrap it or sell it anyway. And they've raised the overall gold amount for that as well. So while the legendaries, the uniques, and the uber uniques will still be lower tier, at least you can still get the powers from them, which is nice. You can still get the bonuses from them, which is nice. And the yellows, which you're just using for stats anyways, those will automatically be dismantled and give you crafting materials. And it'll always drop the yellows, which is the most important for you in that world tier. The last one is a big question I had as well, which is super, super important, is if I download Diablo 4 on Steam, is it just going to launch Diablo 4 and then launch Battle.net from Steam, and then I launch from Battle.net on PC like it does with some other games like Final Fantasy 14, etc., where it just goes to the other launcher anyway? And I figured that's what they would do, and it seems like that's not the case. Adam's saying that the Steam runs off Steam. So if you launch Diablo 4 from Steam, it should just launch into Diablo 4. But that brings another question as well, is Do you have to buy it again on Steam in order to have it on Steam, just so you can have that connection there? And I don't see any responses anywhere on this question, but I guess we'll have to see on Tuesday once this goes up. It seems like it's going to be a standalone on Steam itself. And that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully it cleared up a lot of questions that you guys had on Diablo 4. If you found value in the video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and I'll see you on my live stream. If you enjoyed yourself today, leave a like down below. You can support me and my work on Patreon and view Patreon exclusive content, link in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.